Hello, and welcome to Friday Night Insights, the show where we have clear eyes to sort through the news. We have full hearts to set your fantasy football lineup, and hopefully that means you cannot lose this weekend. I'm your host at Javanaugh87, Jack Kavanaugh, and Jack is back with at DonaldMcJordan, Jordan McDonald. How is it going, my friend?
It's going very well. I figured I have to explain my background.
You do.
It's usually not the white wall I usually deal with. So basically, long story short, I am back at my parents' place for the weekend. I have a wedding. So this is actually my mom's office by day and my dad's man cave at night. Like, I don't know if he comes in here and worships his shrine of 49ers stuff, but yeah, that's why I have 49ers stuff. I kind of wore my Blue Jays jersey to kind of just, even everything out because I feel like I'm a little too surrounded by a team that I don't cheer for. I will say though, I'm not one of those people that says they have an NFC team or like AFC, whatever. But if I had to choose one, it would be the Niners. Kind of like you with the Lions, Jack, I feel.
Very fair. Okay. I can accept that. And we have our friend Josu Gomez here as well. Que paso, fellas. I'm great. It is absolutely great to have you back with us here tonight. Yeah. And it's great to have Jason here again at that FF Nerd, the three best friends that anyone could have.
Yeah, man, I'm so excited. I was really let down by last night's game. I thought I had my predictions on point, but it didn't come to fruition, and so I'm a little frustrated on that, but definitely excited for another week of football. And I get to watch the Chargers on Monday because they're going into Monday Night Football. I am so excited.
It is such an exciting weekend in the NFL. There's a lot of good games going on. Hopefully your Chargers can come out with a win. Hello there to Justin Flume?
That's how I'd pronounce it. I don't know.
Justin Flume. Okay. Hello, Justin. And hello from Gil F. We've already got questions coming in here before we're firing off our Thursday night preview. So coming in with the question 0.5 PPR, Michael Pittman, Chase Claypool, Curtis Samuel, and Henry Ruggs. Which two of these should I start?
That is rough. So let's just go through them quickly. Pittman, I think you might have to start Pittman out of those four because he's established good connection with Wentz. They are going up against a tough secondary, so it's a little weird. Claypool's hurt, may not even play. Curtis Samuel, we're going to get into Curtis Samuel. I'm not starting Curtis Samuel. I know he's playing, but I want to see it first before I start putting in my lineup. And Ruggs, I have to go with Pittman and Ruggs because Ruggs, I feel like, is safe. It's not a great option, but it's safe. Like there's no.
He's against James though, man. He's going to be the deep guy going against James. That's the only thing I have an issue with here. So it's going to be Pittman and Samuel for me, just because I think the football team can get it done and get it done easy.
If Claypool does play, I would go Claypool Pittman.
Absolutely,
that'd be my two.
Yeah, I think that's the wise decision because Carson Wentz does love Michael Pittman. He's feeding him targets. Claypool has the highest upside, but also Ben Roethlisberger is washed. So, I think we've made our decision here. I think you guys are right. Another question here from Josu Gomez: Beasley and Sanders in one league. Who should I keep and who do I drop to pick up another wide receiver or running back that's available?
Oh, that's tough.
I actually think I'm going to go with Sanders here just because he's so versatile. Like the fact that he's able to do the short area stuff as well as do the deep targets, he's taken away from both players. So I like him for that versatility and just he's a smart route runner. I mean, Beasley's been a beast, but Sanders is really the guy who's getting it open.
Yeah, I the air yards, like Sanders is getting those deep targets. I think you have to go with it because like Beasley's. It's the floor, but you don't win fantasy football championships shooting for the floor, right?
That's true, but I feel like maybe Beasley's a little better in PPR. Like he's not getting the air targets, but he probably is picking up a little bit more receptions being in the slot. That's tough. I would flip a coin. Like I really don't know. That is a tough one.
Welcome to my weekly decisions, guys.
Yeah, Jason does this for a living. That's why he ages. Actually, Jason has not aged very well. I shouldn't say anything like that.
Up next, we have Justin Flume. Need help here. My Keenan Allen and Tyson Williams for DK and Nyheim Hines. I have Jonathan Taylor, PPR. So Keenan Allen and Tyson Williams, or DK Metcalf and Nyheim Hines? I think I stick with Keenan Allen here.
Yeah, I completely agree, but I'm also a homer. So the fact that Allen is going to get those targets every week, you don't know with DK. I mean, Lockett's the guy who clearly gets a lot of targets. So it's going to be flipping back and forth, and that's something that I'm scared of for him. Allen's going to get targets no matter what because that team's going to throw. I mean, that's clearly how they've done it, and he's had success over 2 weeks more consistently than DK has.
I think I'm a little bit of homer in my answer. I would consider taking that because if I am knocking on all the wood here, if JT gets hurt, Nyheim Hines is the guy because they're trying to get rid of Marlon Mack. And honestly, I'd have to look to see who is behind them.
Well, but Tyson at that same point is the guy who's on the field the most for
but and that's you're upgrading there. Like you're getting Hines over Tyson. I think that's an upgrade in PPR.
Yeah. Well, that I understand.
It's just a matter of do you like Keenan Allen more than you like DK Metcalf? I would strongly think about this, but I would consider that trade. I really would. I don't really believe in the Mike Williams wide receiver one. I think Keenan Allen will get his eventually. I think both can be successful, but I don't think that you should panic on Keenan Allen. But I would consider taking this trade.
Okay, all right. I think you've swung me. I think you do go for it because it is such a. I think it depends on your RB3. That's the one caveat I'll give is if you have to, you're not gonna want to play Nyheim Hines and Jonathan Taylor. So I think it depends on your RB3 and who that would be instead. Next question: pick one PPR. Michael Pittman Jr., Juju Smith-Schuster, and Hollywood Brown. I can pick up Tim Patrick, Hunter Renfrow, Emmanuel Sanders as well. What do you guys think here?
Yeah, I wish that I thought that Brown was going to be in a more competitive game because I think he's the clear option here. But and the fact that he dropped a touchdown last week and the fact that Bateman's back makes me go to Pittman because but again, he's being shadowed. So that makes me nervous on that. But I still think I might have to go Hollywood just to see what's going to happen with Bateman coming into the fold here.
Yeah, this one's really tricky. If Claypool doesn't play, I think you have to play Juju. Because that would open up a lot of targets for him. And Deontay Johnson as well, like those two. I know it is it is the Steelers. They're going against the Packers. So I don't, also, Emmanuel Sanders is an interesting option. Like we just talked about him. Like I figured I would play Emmanuel Sanders over Hollywood Brown because I don't trust. Oh yeah, just because the matchup's better and Hollywood Brown looked like trash last week, and like Jason said, Bateman's coming back. So how is that going to affect things? So
but he's getting a lot of targets. That's the plus with Brown right now is that he has been getting a lot of targets, and if that stays the same,
will that stay the same though? Like is that gonna continue? Is that continue to be the trend? So. I actually would consider that.
I'm not a big fan. Like drops don't matter a whole lot to me. Like they're not typically too sticky, and it just means that you had the opportunity to begin with. It's kind of like in baseball, fielding errors. It's actually not a bad thing because it means you're around the ball a whole lot. And so I think that Hollywood Brown's the guy I go to here, even though they are playing the Broncos. I still think that Hollywood might get open for a couple deep ones. Lamar Jackson has looked good throwing deep this year for the first time ever. I'm also of the opinion that Juju is done. You don't play Juju.
Really?
No, and like it's Claypool if you have to, but the only two Steelers I'm confident in are Deontay Johnson and Najee Harris. I don't care about anyone else until Ben Roethlisberger is benched.
Wow. No, fair enough.
Ben, take him out of the oven because he is done. You are welcome, Josu, by the way. Next question here from Bowen. This is a family podcast, so I'm not gonna say the last name. One PPR, depending on Darrell Henderson's availability. You start Barber, depending on Josh Jacobs' status, McKissick, dependent on Gibson's availability, or Jamal Williams. So,
all right, I will take this one. Bowen's my friend. Bowen Assman's his name, so don't be hating on him.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all good. It's all good. He gets it all the time. To answer this, Peyton Barber, even if Jacobs is gone, I still don't like Peyton Barber. I don't think any of us do. I really like McKissick because it seems like Gibson has a nagging injury, and McKissick's the third down guy. They love throwing to him in a situation. It seems like Heineke and him have some sort of connection. I would put him over Jamal Williams just by a slight bit. If it's one PPR, it makes it more of a better option for me.
Yeah, I think you definitely go McKissick if Gibson's out, just because the opportunity is definitely going to be there. But with how good Williams has been playing, it's going to be very tough to sit him. I mean, he did have a down week, but especially in the matchup that's upcoming, it's going to be tough for him. So I can see them using him a lot to help offset Swift and his injury issues.
So there is some good news here, however. It does sound like Darrell Henderson is going to play. He's expecting to go. Sean McVay's expecting him to go. So I do think you start Darrell Henderson if and when he goes, because this Cardinals run defense is terrible. We saw James Robinson run all over them, and it wasn't even because the Jaguars O-line played well. It was because they are so bad and just wide open running lanes. So play Darrell Henderson if he's available. Otherwise, I think it's McKissick, because like we said, Gibson is kind of he's not going to miss the game. He's going to play, but he's going to be limited, and they're probably not going to have him on the field as much. So that's why I go with McKissick in that situation. But Jamal Williams, hats off to the man. He has played very well so far.
Yeah, he's definitely the locker room guy for that team right now, and it's showing 100%.
Yeah, I agree. So I think that's I think we all agree on this one here.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Josu is back with another question. Would you play Sanders or Allen Robinson or start? I'm starting Allen Robinson. I think you have to this week. I think you have to risk it. Yeah,
because it's a good matchup, and I mean, I don't know what happened last week, but I'm hoping there's a bounce back. There has to be a bounce back, right?
Yeah, that's the thing too. It's like 1 week you're like, you know what? I'm done with Allen Robinson. You put him on the bench, he goes for 800, 2 touchdowns. That's what happens. He's bound to have a breakout game, and against the Lions seems like the best time to do so, regardless of who they start at quarterback.
And that's the thing. Like, would anyone be surprised if, say, Nick Foles does end up starting and he just locks in on Allen Robinson because he knows he gives him the best chance to win and just throws him like 15 targets, ends up with 10 grabs and 120 yards? Like, that's not a surprise to anyone, and that's why you have to go with an alpha like Allen Robinson compared to a second or third option in Emmanuel Sanders.
Yep, I agree.
You are welcome, Gil F. You are welcome, Justin Flume. And now we've got TS, Chuba Hubbard or Kareem Hunt for flex. So, and we'll get to that question first before we get to the tight end question. What do you guys think?
So this PPR, I'm going Hunt. He's currently the running back 7 in fantasy. So just something to keep in mind, even though they're splitting and this game is going to be competitive, I think you have to roll him out there. I think Chuba is going to have success, but first full-time role, first game, I don't want to risk it. It's too much for a rookie to handle for me.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was game script or not, but the Eagles seem to completely abandon their run game, and I don't know if that was by design, if the Cowboys run game or run defense is better than we've all thought it was. But yeah, you go with the guy you drafted high, and you go for Hunt, and he's going to give you value. Like, him and Chubb are splitting that role, and especially in PPR.
Yeah, I think they're RB7 and RB10.
Yeah.
And that's pretty impressive for being on the same team. Like, holy cow.
Yeah, like they are both getting work, like you said. Nick Chubb, part of the reason he's done so well is because of the touchdowns. He's been scoring a lot, but he's not catching any balls at all. And that's why Kareem Hunt, you have to go with him in a PPR league for sure. And I love Chuba Hubbard. He's Canadian. Jordan, we can agree. Chuba Hubbard is the man. Yep. We love him. Don't play him over Kareem Hunt. That's just not something you can do right now. Now, for the second half of your question, if George Kittle is out, are we playing Dawson Knox or are we playing Jared Cook in a PPR league?
Well, I know Jason's going to pick, but
No, he's a big Dawson Knox guy.
I am a big Dawson Knox guy, and that's
really?
my pick for sure.
Yeah, it's one of his draft crushes. Am I right?
Yep. he's been one of my favorites just because I was worried that they wouldn't go deep with Gabe Davis and Sanders being the in-between guy, that Knox was really going to be the check down. So, and honestly, I just hate Cook. So let's be real here. Parham should be the guy, and it's annoying that he's even there. So.
Oh my God.
Too many cooks in the kitchen. Get him out of here.
Nice.
All right, Jordan, I'm sorry for cutting you off and giving Jason your answer. Who do you take here?
I would probably lean Dawson Knox just to how well he played against Washington. I think that the matchup's a little bit better. Cook had a decent week 1. Last 2 weeks, not really. Like, he had like 28 yards in week 2, 27 in week 3, and didn't have more than 3 catches in either game. So I would probably lean towards Dawson Knox.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Like, the thing with the Bills is they are just a high-flying, high-powered offense, but they're never going to take their foot off the gas. Even when they're up 35-0, they're still passing. They're not going to just get complacent and run. Dawson Knox looks like he's the new red zone threat over Gabriel Davis, which is good for his point totals going forward. And, like, yeah, it's just they're playing the
Texans. Doesn't have competition. Like, there's no other tight end that you have to worry about on the Bills.
Yeah, exactly.
Marlon is a threat.
Throw back to the days when, is Jacob Hollister going to take Dawson Knox's spot? Oh, no, Jacob Hollister is cut. Oh, wow, shocker.
What about, is Zach Ertz going to be in a Bills uniform? No.
Yeah, no. Dawson Knox just keeps crushing the haters, and it's good to see. I'm happy for him. Big Dawson Knox fan. It's okay, Josu. Your questions were good but fair.
It's what we're here for. This is what 100%.
we.
Bowen Assman that says thanks, guys, and you're welcome. I'm glad you came on the show.
Thank you, Bowen.
And finally, TS says thank you as well. So if anyone else has any start-sit questions for us, hit us up. We will be answering them all night. But in the meantime, until we get some fresh ones, it's finally time to talk some Thursday night football. So we'll kick it off with Cincinnati Bengals, Jacksonville Jaguars, 24-21 victory for Joe Burrow, the Tiger King. And it was beautiful. Last second boot from Evan McPherson. Again. He's looking good. He's looking good early in his young career. And so, as always, first half, Bengals run the ball way too much. And just, it's not good. They go down 14-0 at half. And then we see Joe Burrow kind of held back because of it, which is frustrating. That being said, though, he does go for 348 yards in the second half, or with the second half, 2 touchdowns both in the second half, 22.32 fantasy points, which ties Russell Wilson's season average at QB 11 right now.
Yeah, but it's just so frustrating because this team should be blowing people out of the water, and they're just like, we're going to play. How do you get down 14-0 and have to come back against the Jaguars? Like, seriously, what are you guys doing? Bro has all his talent and all the talent surrounding him, and you're going down 14-0 to the Jags. I don't understand here. He's just not going to be a fantasy option for you because of this. This is why, right here. Blow him out. Get it done. This is going back to the Chargers last year. Stop running the ball. Give the man some throwing options and let him do it.
All right, first off, I'll say that I don't think running the ball will be an issue if Samaje Perine's in. I think he's got nowhere to go but up. He's recuperating from major knee surgery. He's a strong group of receivers when Higgins is back. His only downside for his fantasy relevance is his lack of mobility, just because of that knee, but I think that will improve by each game he plays. I find it hard to say he's not going to be fantasy option this year. I think he's got everything he needs to succeed. It's just a matter, like, if he's your QB1, you might be a little worried because there will be some tough games when, Zach Taylor just doesn't know how to call a game. And I know that Jack agrees with me. I saw you tweet that last night that he's not good at his job. And at some points it was. There's some drives he looked really good. And then other drives you're just like, you're playing, like Jason said, you're playing the Jaguars. Why is it so hard to go up the field? But I don't know. All in all, I think that Burrow he's on the up and up, and I think last night is key to that.
Yeah, I do. I think it's like Russell Wilson syndrome. Just let him cook, open that offense up, and see what happens. Because Joe Burrow is a star in the making, MVP by 2023 at the latest. I've been calling it for a couple years now. No T Higgins this week, which kind of sucks because I really like T Higgins, big fan there. So I was ready for a heavy dose of the AFC Rookie of the Month, Jamar Chase, but instead he ends up playing second fiddle to Tyler Boyd, gets 11 targets, leads the team, 9 receptions, and 118 yards. Chase, on the other hand, he ends up second on the team with 9 targets. He catches 6 of them, goes for 77 yards, so it's a fine little day from him. But the real winner is a guy that no one was playing this week.
His season game, this is going to be his record-setting game of his lifetime. There's no way he tops this.
Exactly. Like it was phenomenal. CJ Uzoma came back from an Achilles tear last season, and I would like to point out he looked phenomenal. So invest in Cam Akers because Achilles tears aren't what they used to be. Achilles tears are not what they used to be. These players are coming back better than ever. We've seen it with Kevin Durant. We've now seen it with CJ Uzoma. They're not seeing any drop off. He looked phenomenal. Caught both of Joe Burrow's touchdowns, 5 receptions and 95 yards, 21.5 fantasy points. That's the 9th best day by a tight end on the season. Unfortunately, T. Higgins is going to come back, and so you can't trust CJ Uzoma. You're never going to play him.
You just built him up for it to drop him down.
Yeah, I absolutely did. And Eric Washington agrees. More play action for Burrow. I completely agree. Please do that.
Yeah. Dude rushed 3 times for 4 yards. No. Yes, for 4 yards. That was very frustrating. I was hoping to get that 8.5 over under last night. And it didn't happen.
Poor Chase.
The guy's less than a year removed from knee surgery. What do you expect?
It's the Jaguars.
It doesn't matter if it's the Jaguars. It's still his knee. It doesn't matter what team he plays. He's playing professional football with a knee that's still healing.
That's one rush.
Finally, for the Bengals, we have Joe Mixon, who found the end zone for the first time since week 1. That was exciting, but only 67 yards on 16 carries, even if he did score. And unfortunately, 0 for 2 in the passing game. He's dealing with an ankle injury, wasn't in for the final drive, and he does have 10 days to rest, so we'll see how that... Don't overthink it for now. Samaje Perine, though, he ends up being the RB2 for the team. 3 carries for 4 yards on the ground, nothing special. 1 reception.
Like Burrow.
It's the same thing. Same person. And one's a running back.
Yeah. 1 reception for 15 yards.
Let me just say quickly that, if you have Mixon and he's out, I would consider picking up Perine if you have the room because, got to handcuff your studs. Like it's starting to happen. These starting running backs are starting to get a little banged up. I don't know how, he's got like a week and a half or 10 days to recover, so it might not be a big issue, but I would consider handcuffing him.
Yeah, and I was definitely going to say something that I plan to put on TikTok, but we'll just put it here as well. What you need to do is before your game starts, pick up the handcuff. Drop a junk player that you have on your bench and pick up your handcuff. That way you have him just in case. You don't have to worry about it the following week. With everybody that's been going down from CMC to Cook, it's just something you need to do, and it's a good fantasy strategy moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. And Josu Gomez says, yo, guys, this show is dope. So thank you.
You know what? You're the one that makes it dope. The audience.
Absolutely. This is how it goes.
And so we'll get to a couple more questions before we head on over to the Jaguars. Do we trust Elijah Mitchell this week if he ends up starting?
It's Shanahan. No, I don't trust the running back in that system. What else do I have to tell you? I'm not doing it. Until Wilson is back, I'm not trusting anybody there. And if Kittle's out, no. Like, he is your blocker. There's no way that I am trusting a running back in that backfield with Kittle out.
Yeah, I don't know if I would start Elijah Mitchell if he starts, just because, he was good week 1, but he's missed a couple of games now, and who knows? Maybe Shanahan loves Sermon more. Maybe he wants to give him more carries, because I think that Elijah Mitchell is more of the type of back that Shanahan wants in that offense, but he seems to really like Sermon, and like Jason said, you can't trust it.
Yeah, you can't trust it this week, especially with the shoulder injury, because it's going to be a big issue of pain tolerance, and that's always scary. Like we saw with DeAndre. Yeah, we saw it with DeAndre Hopkins last week. Like he played, but he was very limited because he was in a lot of pain. Now, that was broken ribs. Elijah Mitchell's a shoulder injury, but it's the same idea. It's even if he plays, you can't trust him this week. But when he is healthy and removed from the injury report, then I'm back in on Elijah Mitchell. Because Trey Sermon, Kyle Shanahan does not trust Trey Sermon.
No, and the thing too, this is all gonna go to crap when JWJ comes back, because he will command a lot of carries, regardless if Sermon or Mitchell puts himself ahead of the other. Because JWJ knows the system. He's been in the system for several years now, and every time he starts, he goes off. But his durability is an issue, and it seems like Shanahan's running these guys in the ground because they're always hurt.
Yeah, it's so Jeff Wilson Jr. For those of you who don't know, it's crazy because some games he'll be the goal line back, score 3 touchdowns, and then he'll be inactive the next week. It's weird, but that's the Kyle Shanahanigans over here.
And the juice is just so I don't understand why they don't use him. He's always on the field. He's very good at his job. Just occasionally, instead of giving it to one guy, give it to Kyle Juszczyk. Seriously. What are you guys thinking? He's clearly a stable running back. He's hardly ever out, and he's always a Pro Bowler.
All right, and so we've got another question in here from TS, and it's a follow-up from the tight end question. Tyler Conklin is available. Do we like him over Dawson Knox? And I think that one's really interesting because Tyler Conklin, this becomes the debate. Who is the wide receiver 3 actually in Minnesota? Because we know it's Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. For the first 2 games, it was KJ Osborne, but last week it was Tyler Conklin. So do we believe that Tyler Conklin has kind of taken over that 3rd in the pecking order, or is it still KJ Osborne and that was just a blip on the radar?
I still need to see, because like you said, it's 2-1 in KJ Osborne's favor. As for his question, I still go Knox, because I want to see more from Conklin. I don't want to put him in there. He had one good game, but it was against Seattle. Seattle's pass defense is atrocious, and Houston's pass defense is atrocious. So I think that is where you want to go with these streaming tight ends. But yeah, Conklin, I would keep my eye on him, but don't put him in your lineups right away.
Yeah, I've been preferring Knox all week, and I don't think that's going to change just because you don't know. I mean, I think that Cousins is going to continue this tear, so I'm really excited for that and have been picking him up everywhere I can because, like I said, since 2015, he hasn't been worse than QB 13. So I absolutely love it. And while I think Conklin could be the guy, since I thought Smith was going to be the guy, the fact that Osborne's getting this target share is pretty impressive, and he's looked really good with the targets that he's gotten.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Conklin just because there's a higher upside there that he becomes this year's Bobby Tonyan, something like that. That's kind of where I'm shooting for this, whereas I think that there's more competition in Buffalo, even if it is a better offense? Kirk looks pretty good. So, yeah, I think that Conklin has the better chance to be a top 5, 6, 7 tight end than Knox for the season. I don't prefer Knox this week, but I guess you have Kittle. Nope. I've changed my mind. You have Kittle. Once Kittle is healthy, you're not going to be starting Conklin over him ever. So, yes, go with Knox because he's the better play this week. And Josu would like to know, would you drop Jared Cooks for Knox if Knox is available? Yes, in a heartbeat.
Immediately. Check.
Yeah.
Another question here over from Twitch this time. The big unit 12. Falcons have been horrid on offense. I know. Matt Ryan with the lowest average depth of target in the league. It's bad. Any legitimacy in trading Calvin Ridley? He's been underperforming so far. Perhaps for Zeke, I'm light on quality running backs. I say yes. If you can get Ezekiel Elliott for Calvin Ridley, do it in a heartbeat. And I think Calvin Ridley is a guy that you kind of do want to move on from. We thought he had a massive ceiling because he was going to be the wide receiver 1 in Atlanta, but they're not throwing the ball downfield, and it could change. It could open up, but
I think the worry is the fact that it's Ryan in a new system because they got the offensive coordinator from Tennessee, right?
Arthur Smith, yes.
Yes.
And
so that's the only thing that has me worried is because he doesn't have time. He doesn't have the time that Tannehill had. So the play really can't develop, and he has to do that check down.
Let me just say something. I watched this entire game, so let me just break the fourth wall for. I did, but I had to do it for work because I had to cover this game. This was legitimately the worst game I've ever seen. I'm not joking. It was so bad, and it was worse because I had Daniel Jones in a lot of fantasy lineups, so it made it worse. And I didn't want to jinx it last week and say that Daniel Jones could be a letdown this week just because he was built up so high. And I didn't say it, and it didn't matter. It happened anyways. But Matt Ryan was just as bad. Like, he's become check down Charlie, or whatever you want to call him. That's why Cordell Patterson's having a great start to the year, because he's in the backfield, because that's where he's throwing to. And it seemed like all Ridley was getting was just like drag routes. And that's how Ryan was getting him the ball. So, and I'm really angry because I have a lot of Calvin Ridley. So, yes, I would try and sell Ridley because I don't know if this is going to get better. I think Arthur Smith, I didn't like the hire. I thought Arthur Smith was like very overrated just because he had Derrick Henry. I know Tannehill had a resurgence with him, but I didn't really feel great about Arthur Smith. And I've been proven right so far.
Yeah. I think it's the O-line that definitely ruined both of these players, let's be honest, because it's looking pretty weak, and the fact that they can't let the play develop really hurts both parties here.
I don't really think it's all offensive line. It definitely factors into it, but yes, I would definitely see what you can get for Ridley. There was one of my buddies actually texted me before last night's game, and he asked me if like Calvin Ridley for James Robinson would be a good trade, and I said I would ask a little bit more for Ridley.
Okay.
But
again, this is why I don't like doing trades. Is because of the fact that it takes so much information to really give you a good answer here.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I would package Ridley with somebody else or maybe two other players to get Zeke and a different wide receiver that's also performing poorly, like an Allen Robinson. Because as much as I like Ridley's talent, I know that Robinson's going to get it done at some point. I don't think that Ridley will, because who's the backup quarterback in Atlanta?
It'd be Josh Rosen.
Do you trust Josh Rosen more than Matt Ryan? Like, I can easily see Dalton and Fields and Foles at least having some success. I can't with either of them.
You're more optimistic than I am, and definitely more than Jack, because Jack hates Matt Nagy. And
yeah,
at some point they have to actually let the OC make.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you could say the same thing about Arthur Smith, and he's like, "Oh, it's a new offense." Like, Nagy's been there for 4 years; it's his offense.
Yes and no. When he gives up control, the offense moves a lot better, and it's amazing how good it looks. The games that they have success, he doesn't have control of the offense. He's like, okay, I'll actually do my job as a head coach and let my OC do the play calling.
All right, and so that kind of wraps up our questions for now. Remember, you can continue to send us your questions, but in the meantime, Jaguars. First time in his life, Urban Meyer has started 0-4. He is finally being exposed as the grifter that he is. Jaguars go up 14-0 at half, only score one touchdown in the second. Trevor goes for 17 of 24, 204 yards, adds another 36 and a touchdown with his legs. Looked pretty good running the ball. Wasn't a star-making performance, but there were some nice plays. That throw on the run, that was the fastest a quarterback has ran while throwing a deep ball in the last 5 years. That's impressive. And he didn't throw an interception this week for the first time in his career. So that was all good. The bad was DJ Chark broke his ankle on the first drive. Marvin Jones is dealing with an AC joint sprain, so he's a little bit banged up. He just 3 receptions for 24 yards. And instead, the real star was Laviska Shenault. And we were real upset because it looked like Urban Meyer was ruining him. Not so fast. Laviska Shenault is too good to be spoiled by Urban Meyer. He ends up catching 6 balls for 99 yards, adds an 11-yard rush to finish the day with 110 yards. No scores, unfortunately, but he looked damn good out there. And now there are people that will tell you Laviska Shenault, he only broke out because DJ Chark was out. If he needed an injury to be relevant, he was a bad fantasy pick. Like, no, those people are disingenuous liars. Laviska Shenault saw 11 targets in week 1 and 7 in week 2, despite leaving early that game. So heading into this game, he was averaging 6.6 targets per game. He had 7 targets to get today, or last night, I suppose. His role has not changed. He was always ready to blow up, and it finally happened. So anyone telling you that this is just because of DJ Chark, they're lying to you.
Yeah, I'm really hoping this is the case because, man, he looked good. He saw a lot of targets. Jones wasn't really a factor. He only saw 3. Caught all of them, though. and looked okay, but Chenault's clearly the talent guy here.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm happy that Robinson's there. I mean, they finally have figured out that he's a good player. Thank you. I wonder what took him so long. I know that they hated him, but with Hyde being an inactive, you really saw what he got to do, and it looked good doing it. Like, dear Urban Meyer, please set James Robinson free. Let him run.
Yeah, I agree with the Laviska Shenault and the James Robinson love. Hopefully, that opens the door for him. I know I'm not trying to say that the only reasons Laviska Shenault did well is because of DJ Chark's injury. I just think it opened the door for him, and I think that it still would have been okay if still think he would have had a decent day, regardless. But yeah, like DJ Chark's probably not coming back this season, so yeah, Laviska Shenault should definitely capitalize on that.
Mason Cameron, Laviska rush props for the win.
He loves those.
He does, and he's a smart man. Josu Gomez wants to know, should I pick up Shenault? Yes, absolutely.
Depending on who you have to drop, yeah.
Of course. That's always a context. We don't know how big your league is. Maybe you're dropping Allen Robinson for it. Don't do something stupid like that. No. But if you're dropping like you're a wide receiver 4-5, yeah, pick up Laviska Shenault immediately. And finally, for the passing game, Dan Arnold, he takes the field. He was just traded from Carolina. Probably only had like one practice with the team, which is nuts. Rocking Tim Tebow's number 85 for the Jaguars. He looked pretty good. Catches both targets for 29 yards. But the real story outside of Laviska Shenault, like we said, James Robinson. So good. 18 carries and 2 targets, catches 1, and ends the day with 76 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, part of this is because Carlos Hyde was out with the shoulder injury. So is it sustainable that this keeps up when Hyde comes back?
I'm hoping so. I mean, I absolutely hope that Meyer saw that, wow, this guy actually is talented. I'm surprised that I brought in Hyde ever to do anything on this offense. So I'm really hoping that's the case. I doubt it goes below 70% of touches moving forward, and that's good enough for me to use him every week.
Is that actually true? Was Carlos Hyde a shoulder injury? Because I read it was healthy and active. Like he was just healthy scratch.
I saw a healthy scratch, but I went back and looked, and it said shoulder injury.
Okay.
Yeah, it came out later that he's got like like a shoulder tweak, and maybe Urban's even lying to us. Maybe it was just a face-saving move to not be embarrassing that he's benching his guy.
That is his guy.
It is his guy all the way back to Ohio State, and for some stupid reason. Josu says he's dropping Cole Beasley for Laviska Shenault.
I would do that.
Do that immediately.
Yeah, and just go back to the tight ends, like Dan Arnold, the only like his first game just got there, got some targets. But is it worth trusting a Jaguars tight ends? Like I know that Manhurts is a blocking tight end, but he had the most snaps with 43%. Arnold had 18, 32, and then Luke Farrell and Hollister all had under 30%. And will this offense, like, how will the tight ends look when O'Shaughnessy comes back? Like, he has a high ankle sprain. He's on IR right now. I mean, he might even come back, but if he does, it might be the guy again. So I don't know. Like, let's wait and see on Dan Arnold. But I liked what I saw in the first game.
Yeah, I'm a big Dan Arnold fan in general, but I don't think Jacob Hollister's relevant. Do not roster him. So yeah, moving on from this game, and let's see if you guys have any final thoughts on Thursday Night Football.
No, we should probably move on.
Yeah, thankfully.
All right, and so LaShawn McCoy has retired as a Philadelphia Eagle. I still have not forgiven him for spoiling Avengers Endgame. He is a bad person.
Yeah, that was a dick move. Thankfully, like someone like me who's a massive Marvel nerd, I saw it the day before, which was also the same day as the NFL draft, first round. So I legitimately, I know what they always tell you to turn off your phone in the theater. I legitimately turned my phone off because I didn't want to know. But it also proves that karma is not a real thing because he went on to win 2 consecutive Super Bowls, albeit in a reserve role, but still.
Without playing a single snap.
Exactly. But still
he has 2 Super Bowl rings.
So you know what? When they're thinking about putting LaShawn McCoy into the Hall of Fame, people be like, oh, he won 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah, he's got the 2, see, it's not the middle finger, it's the ring finger. He's got the 2 ring fingers right there and right there. So LaShawn McCoy is good for him, but what a jerk.
Yeah.
Speaking of Talking about non-jerks, though, Lamar Jackson didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday with a back injury. Some people think that he might have some IBS. It's fine. Whatever. He came back Friday and he's questionable, but practiced in full Friday. So don't worry about him. You can still trust Lamar unless you've got a better option because they do play the Broncos, but you're probably starting Lamar. Justin Fields, though, he is practicing full all week with the hand injury. Andy Dalton is limited with the bone bruise in his knee. And Matt Nagy also won't rule out Nick Foles for some reason. So Matt Nagy would... Like, what do you say? Who's he going to start? Does it matter? Can we trust Justin Fields if he starts?
Yes, I'm going to say that Fields probably starts because it's a matchup. Had it been any other in the matchup, I probably would expect Foles to roll out there. But the fan base is calling for Fields. They're going to see Fields, and that's just how it's going to be. I wish he would just start, but I still like the fact that Dalton is able to chuck it. So when he's back, he's still going to be the guy. I'm glad that Nagy's sticking with that, but Fields looks good. He didn't look good last week, so he's going to bounce back and be fine. I think it was more jittery and the fact that it was a tough defense on him.
Yeah, I really hope it's Fields over Big Richard. I'm not going to lie. Let me just say something. And I like I said before, I couldn't watch any other game, so I just saw the stat line, and wow. Do you think, and this is just me with my tinfoil hat on, do you think that Nagy intentionally sabotaged Fields so that when he was like, oh, I'm going to go back to Dalton, we weren't going to attack him and call him stupid, even though we all still do. But, did he intentionally be like, hey, Jason Peters, just don't block Myles Garrett. Just let him through. Just let him disrupt Justin Fields' throwing. Just do it for me.
I think it was just negligence, honestly.
I know, I'm kidding. It was his first start.
Well, and he called the game like Andy Dalton was still in at quarterback, so he didn't do him any favors. I don't know if that was a conscious thing. I think that was just negligence, incompetence, whatever we want to call it. There is a lot of bad coaches.
It was what's the word? Subconscious sabotage.
Yeah, there we go. There's a lot of bad coaches in the NFL. Matt Nagy, Urban Meyer, Cliff Kingsbury. The list goes on and on. But a good coach, Matt Rule. He'll be without Christian McCaffrey this week. So we've talked about Chuba Hubbard earlier. He's tough to trust. Depending on who you have, he's definitely a flex consideration, but it's not someone you want to go all in on this. You can play him in the flex, not someone you want to go all in on as your RB2. That's when you're getting into risky business. James White is also out for the season with a hip subluxation. That's unfortunate. We love James White. Brandon Bolden ended up leading the team in snaps when he was out. So who's the running back to roster here?
I'm going with the upside of JJ Taylor here just because I see him as more of the Rex Burkhead role, and I think that he's able to do both. So I could see Bill using him in that kind of capacity.
I don't feel like I should answer this because I'm going to be wrong, regardless of who I say. Just because
that's how it goes.
It's the Belichick backfield. Do you guys think Ramondre Stevenson? Wow, easy for me to say. Does he get some playing time now that James White's out? I don't think it's going to be significant enough to be fantasy relevant, but you never know. And at least this week, I'm not touching any Patriots running backs.
This matchup is not good.
It's the worst matchup. Damian Harris, too, your boy, Jason, he didn't look good against the Saints.
Well, I think the Saints actually being healthy, they might, and having a full coaching staff, they might actually be a good defense.
I think the Saints are underrated at this point. Like Jameis Winston, under 150 passing yards in 3 games, and they're 2-1. And I don't know.
Well, they're also the number 1 defense in fantasy. Even with a down week, they still are the number 1 defense in fantasy.
That's all thanks to Aaron Rodgers.
DeAndre Swift limited with a groin, but he's playing. This is the new normal. DeAndre Swift is going to be limited every practice or every week. He's going to play every week. He's going to be a star every week.
Yeah, because he's got so much usage. And we got Dan Campbell coming out saying we're going to see more of Swift. So I am going to hold him accountable for this. So if I lose my matchups further down in the playoffs and it's because Swift didn't play or he was, splitting carries with Williams, I know who I'm sending my angry messages to.
Yeah, send him directly to. Well, yeah, you can send.
Actually, I don't know if that'd be a bad idea because they'll probably show up my doorstep and chomp off my kneecaps.
Speaking of knees, Saquon Barkley, he's still limited with his coming back from his ACL tear. He's getting the Swift treatment. It's not Swift getting the Barkley treatment. That's how good DeAndre Swift is. But Saquon Barkley, he's being eased back into it. It's the new normal. He's going to be playing or practicing lightly during the week. It's fine. Don't worry about him. You can start him. He's going to be playing with his fourth left guard in as many games, though, which isn't good. Ben Bredesen is expected to be out with a hand injury. So
that whole offense is just losing players left and right. So Barkley's going to have a lot of use. If you have him in PPR, he's definitely going to be up there for you.
Yeah.
Maybe they just shouldn't have. Sorry. Go ahead, Jack. Go ahead.
Oh, they're going to be without Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton as well. So he's going to be getting a lot of work in the receiving game.
And Galladay's also dealing with injuries.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't be, making your players run suicides during random practices.
Maybe.
Oh,
Joe Judge, you never cease to amaze me. And neither does Dalvin Cook. He's limited all week, questionable, but expected to play. And if he's playing, you're playing him. That's an auto start.
Yeah, I mean, you have to play Cook, and I guess if he doesn't go, you play Madison because he did very well last week. And
yeah,
I'm definitely surprised that they didn't mix anybody else in, but they guess they didn't really anybody.
Let me just apologize to everyone on Jason's behalf for telling you not to play Madison because he ruled. He was really good. Got a little bit gimpy towards the end of the game, but man, did he really ball out. He's a must start if Cook doesn't play.
And from the Blue Crew, half-point PPR, 12-team Superflex, starting Devonta Smith or Brandon Cooks. Jason, who you got here?
Man, that's actually tough, but I'm going to go Cooks because of volume. And I love the fact that it doesn't seem to matter who they're going up against. Cooks is going to see double-digit targets and is going to go over 100 yards. So might as well just count it now and keep the guy rolling.
I'm afraid there's going to be one game where Cooks is just going to get double covered. He's just going to be taken out of the game. I don't know if it's going to be against the Bills. They're going to be having to catch up. I think, so are the Eagles. But after 3 weeks, I think that Cooks is the safer play.
Yeah, Brandon Cooks is just getting fed targets. He is that offense. No matter who is at quarterback throughout his entire career, the man just produces. So I'm going with Brandon Cooks until the wheels fall off.
Or until he's traded.
Drop Robert Tonyan for Dawson Knox. No, you roll with Bobby Tonyan.
I'm not a big Tonyan guy, and I still wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
I actually would. I like Knox more than Tonyan.
No, I am a big fan of Mr. Bob Onion.
Yeah, just the fact the two offenses is what separates it for me. Like that offense runs through Jones and Adams. I don't see Tonyan getting the work. Knox, I see, has already shown that he can get it in the end zone. So,
well, the thing is too, if MVS is out, Tonyan's going to probably get more looks.
Maybe it's a deep threat thing. I mean, that's more where MVS had a success.
No, I know, but just overall, like, we're going to get into that. I don't want to spoil that because I want to go on a little rant about that. But
well, do you want to go on a rant now?
You're setting me up. Set me up. Tee me up, baby.
We're setting you up because Jonathan Taylor limited Wednesday, Thursday with a knee injury. He's expected to play. Marlon Mack is on the trade block, which is why he's inactive for week 3. And no Quentin Nelson with an ankle injury. So do we have a Colts rant coming in here?
Let me just start off. Marlon Mack, I love Marlon Mack, and I hope he gets traded somewhere where he can be used. I think it was a mutual thing. I don't think that coaching staff had anything against Mack, whatever. Quentin Nelson.
I agree with that. Sorry to cut you off.
It's all good.
It's because Marlon Mack looks good. He's healthy, and he just wants to play. And the Colts love him and want to give him the chance.
You might as well stock up on draft picks. You're probably going to lose your first.
And maybe trade for Marlon Mack in your league before he gets traded.
Oh, he might be available. I can't see a lot of people actually like having him on the roster.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're deep leagues, that would be a sneaky pickup. No Quentin Nelson, no Braden Smith. You're 0-3 against a tough Miami defense. I don't care. Like Jacoby Brissett revenge game and everything. I already said the season's over. I said that last week. I was screaming into my monitor saying that this season's over if you go 0-3. It is over. And they're going to keep fooling you thinking, no, it's not over. And you go 0-4, you gotta stop fooling yourselves. And the fact that you're going to be without your Braden Smith, Quentin Nelson, you're going to be without Kawari Willis, your starting strong safety. Like,
You need a hug, buddy.
No, I don't. Yeah, I need to cheer for a better football team. That's the
Well, the Chargers just beat the Chiefs, so I mean, if you want to come on over, you're more than welcome to.
Washington football team, Antonio Gibson dealing with a shin injury that popped up on Thursday. He's been practicing this week, though. He's wearing a shin sleeve, and it sounds precautionary, but he's officially questionable. And we talked about it earlier. J.D. McKissick might see an increase because of it.
Yeah, and I actually think that even then, the game script looks good for McKissick. I mean, if he's given the opportunity, which they should, have a lot of third downs, be completely fine and get all the usage in the world and be very successful, especially in PPR. So I wish that they would give Gibson more work, because you saw what he did with his one great reception for 73 yards last game. But whatever. If they're going to use McKissick, and he'll be a fantasy relevant player every week.
Yeah, Gibson doesn't play. He's a must start, and even with Gibson playing, he's definitely a really interesting flex option.
He's back where he was at the end of last season. Like you want J.D. McKissick on your starting roster, just like Aaron Jones. He's limited Wednesday and Thursday with an ankle injury, but if Aaron Jones is playing, there's no one you're sitting him for. He's a top 4 running back each and every week. A.J. Dillon is also a surprise limited with a back injury, so keep an eye on that. Just could mean more Aaron Jones. Could mean Kylan Hill stealing that RB2 job in Green Bay as well. And speaking of RB2 on their team, John Gruden's not going to hesitate to put Peyton Barber in a feature role, but Josh Jacobs is practicing. So if Josh Jacobs plays, do we trust Josh Jacobs, or is Peyton Barber just a thing now? And what happened to Kenyon Drake? And John, what are you doing here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can trust anybody in that backfield. That's part of the worry. I mean, even when you're drafting Jacobs, you were worried that Drake was going to steal the touches, and now it's Barber, which is a surprise to everybody. But he looked good, and that's even more frustrating.
And moving on.
Sorry. No, go ahead. I don't want to talk about this backfield. Go ahead.
Okay, good.
I don't.
Darrell Henderson is back to practicing. He is expected to play. We covered that earlier. If he does play, it looks like the Rams are back to their old ways. It looks like Sean McVay just loves his bell cows again. So I think we're going to get a heavy dose of Darrell Henderson if he does play.
Yeah, I would love to see how many carries Michelle gets. We will have to see how healthy Henderson is, but
yeah. Moving forward to the Denver Broncos, Melvin Gordon is also limited with ribs as well as a lower leg injury. He's questionable, but the Broncos are going to be without their right guard, Graham Glasgow. He's not going to play. Natani Muti is going to step in, who is a quality offensive lineman. But their left guard, Dalton Reisner, also might miss the game as well with a knee injury. So the rookie third-round pick, Quinn Miners, who is the man. You saw him all offseason, the rookie. He just had his gut out at every practice. So those two will be starting. They do have quality offensive linemen behind those two, but it's not good news for Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams this week.
For those that are listening on the podcast, Jason just had an episode. Are you okay, Jason?
Yeah, just a little bit of a sneezing issue.
Okay.
I have no idea what just happened, but it's fine.
Oh, neither do I. That's why I was a little concerned. Yeah. Is this the week that we see Javonte Williams take over the backfield? Probably not. If Melvin Gordon's limited, it will happen, but I don't think that will be by design. I think that's just they're going to have to. They want to, don't run Melvin Gordon into the ground.
Yeah. Don't run him into the ground. Give him a little bit of a split like they've been doing. Mason Cameron says, send help for Jason. Oh, poor Jason. It's going to be okay, buddy. Anyway, speaking of splitting up a backfield and the reps to protect the starter, make him a little bit healthier, Tony Pollard is doing that in Dallas with Ezekiel Elliott. He missed Thursday's practice. Don't worry, though. He just became a dad. So congratulations to Tony Pollard. I think that means you have to start Tony Pollard this weekend because he's going to score a touchdown. It's going to be the Fred VanVleet syndrome, has a kid and just balls for the rest of the year.
I hope that's the case, but I just don't think that they will get rid of Zeke. So I really hope that at some point he becomes a valuable piece somewhere because, man, if they gave him more work, he reminds me so much of Austin Eckler. It's baffling.
Yeah, I love the Fred VanVleet line. We are big Fred VanVleet.
Absolutely.
on the show. Jason is a Wichita State fan, so it just fits.
It fits. The one Canadian that Jason actually likes.
I like Nick Wiggins too, and Andrew, I guess.
Anyways, moving on. Moving on, Giovanni Bernard did not practice with an MCL injury. He's going to be out this weekend, so that means Uncle Len's going to be catching some balls. Am I right?
Oh, yeah. I am so pumped for Lenny. It's going to be something impressive. And with Gio out, I'm not worried about Jones. I think Jones actually does get a little bit of an increase in workload, but it's not enough because Leonard Fournette is just going to be a solid option against a decent run D in the Patriots. But still, the fact that they are coming in, and I'm so nervous that they're just going to sweep the floor with them. Tampa Bay is just going to have their way with it, and it's going to be an ugly game for the Patriots.
Yeah, like you said, positive game script. He'll get a lot of opportunities, and he's the receiving back. We thought that might be Gio Bernard, but it's Leonard Fournette now. I can't see Keyshawn Vaughn coming in and taking that role. So it's Leonard Fournette. I don't know how much they'll need to dump off passes to him. So it's not like he's going to get like 10 targets, but you'll definitely see an uptick.
Yeah, we're starting Leonard Fournette this week, but the Titans are not starting A.J. Brown or Julio Jones. They're both out with hamstring injuries. Not good for them. Anthony Ferkser is back to practicing at tight end after missing weeks 2 and 3. Ryan Tannehill, he's hyping Nick Westbrook-Akeen and saying that he could be a thing this week, but man, it's a good thing they're playing the Jets and Derrick Henry can run all over them because missing A.J. Brown and Julio, rough times.
Yeah, and it's even worse because even Westbrook and Rodgers both split the last game. They both had 4 targets and both got 3 of them. So I think Westbrook is definitely the deeper threat. So he's going to be more comparable to Julio, I guess. And so with that in mind, that's who I would lean to if you're looking at playing either of them, which I probably wouldn't if you have another option.
Also, are we going to see Josh Reynolds? Like, is Josh Reynolds alive? Like, he's on the milk carton.
Yeah.
Put out an APB.
Like, I know he's going to be active, but I mean, like, an APB. Yeah. Ask Pam Beasley.
Oh, goodness. All right. DeAndre Hopkins did not practice Wednesday, returned Thursday with a rib injury. Of course, he's going to play like he did last week, but how effective is he going to be?
Yeah, I don't know. That's terrifying. I was nervous about the same thing.
Yeah.
You saw what he did last week. It's worrisome.
What do we trust? It is worrisome, but another worrisome thing, like, do we trust any other Cardinals receivers? Like, one of them's probably going to have a big day, but it's like, you have 33% possibility. Like, is it going to be Kirk? Is it going to be AJ Green? Is it going to be Rondale Moore? I got burned out Rondale Moore last week, so I'm kind of just like fading them right now because I'm worried that I'm going to pick the wrong one.
In games that they're trailing, Moore is on the field more. See what I did there?
Haha. So funny. Gosh, you guys are just really coming in with the hilarious jokes towards the end of the show. Moving on to Tyler Lockett. Did not practice Wednesday or Thursday with a hip injury he suffered in week 3. Practicing in full Friday. He's expected to play Sunday. Dwayne Eskridge won't, though. He's coming back from the concussion and not expected to play. Keep an eye out for Freddie Swain against the 49ers, but it's going to be DK Metcalf, especially with Tyler Lockett a little bit banged up. Rashad Penny is also out for the Seahawks, but that does not matter at all. Chase Claypool, we talked about him earlier, surprise limited with the hamstring. He might not play. Juju will play, but I'm worried about him with the rib injury and Ben Roethlisberger being washed. Good news, Deontay Johnson practicing in full with the knee injury, removed from the injury report. So play Deontay Johnson. Some people will tell you to play Juju Smith-Schuster. I'm not one of them. Jordan is one of them.
Yeah,
I probably still would. I'd have to go back to that question, but I still think that Juju is somewhat relevant.
He's somewhat relevant.
He's somewhat relevant.
Yeah, he's somewhat relevant, but Deontay Johnson, you can feel confident starting him, even if Chase Claypool plays. Keenan Allen, he's limited for the first practice of the week ahead of Monday Night Football, but it's an ankle injury, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be an issue.
Yeah, well, Mike Williams is the wide receiver one anyway, so it really doesn't matter. We all should have listened to Joe Lombardi. He told us straight up he is going to be my X receiver, and we all just laughed it off.
Well, we didn't laugh it off, okay? We knew it was going to happen. I was more concerned about it being Williams.
Nobody thought it was going to happen.
I thought, okay, Williams is going to have to start, and then Palmer's going to take it over. But
oh my God!
It hasn't happened yet.
Palmer's going to come in and be the tight end one. Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Congrats to Mike Williams. He's just completely reinvented himself. We talked about this earlier, but the Giants, they're going to be without Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton with hamstring injuries. John Ross is still out with a hamstring injury. He can return from the IR, but we haven't heard that yet. Kenny Golladay limited with a hip injury as well. So good luck, Daniel Jones.
Yeah, it's going to be rough for sure. Not looking forward to it for him.
No, not at all. Russell Gage, he's out with an ankle sprain. Doesn't matter for the Falcons. They are dust. Elijah Moore didn't practice Wednesday, Thursday with a concussion. He's officially being ruled out, which means Denzel Mims will play. Probably not a whole lot because for some reason Bob Saleh hates him. Jamison Crowder might be playing this week coming off the groin injury. It's still up in the air, but the Jets are not a team that I want to be investing in right now. Washington football team, Curtis Samuel, he's going to play this week, so that's exciting, but it's hard to know if you can trust him with Taylor Heineke. He's been so locked in on Scary Terry. So I don't know. Does anyone want to play Curtis Samuel this week?
No, I said it earlier in the show when somebody asked. I'm keeping him on my bench, and I'm going to see how he plays because you can't just put him in like cold. We don't know. He's on a new team. Like if he was on the football team like last year before, we kind of have a sense maybe what he can do, but it's a new team. So I would wait.
Yeah, and he missed like preseason, most of preseason because of COVID. So it's just another thing on top of it that you don't have that connection with all the players that you would had he been there the entire time. It's the injuries piling on him just makes me nervous for his usage.
Yeah, completely agree. And speaking of injuries piling up, Marquez Valdes-Scantling did not practice this week. He will not be playing this weekend. He's a candidate. Oh, did they put him on the IR?
Yeah,
actually?
They
actually did. I know they were debating it pretty heavily. So, yes, Marquez Valdes-Scantling will be out for 3 weeks. That means Randall Cobb and Alan Lazard and maybe Amari Rogers have to take a bigger role.
So I'm going to beat the dead horse here, and I've been saying it for so many times on this show. But this would not be a big deal if they drafted, let's say T. Higgins or Michael Pittman or Chase Claypool or Chenault instead of Jordan Love. But no, they wanted that backup quarterback for no reason and alienate your starter and see him win an MVP, and now he wants out. So that's their own fault.
Yeah. Oh, the Packers.
Pretty much.
The Packers are... Good luck to them in the post-Aaron Rodgers life. And Kenny would like to know, should I trade Joe Mixon for Jonathan Taylor and Devonta Smith in full PPR?
That's interesting. I wish that Taylor was on a different offense.
Yeah, it's a lot of recency bias because it's Mixon 100%. Like Jonathan Taylor, I think he's going down with the ship. I don't have any faith in that offense with a banged-up offensive line. And Devonta Smith, he's going to have his rookie bumps. I think he's going to be like he's going to be one of those players that has a really good game one week and then like has like 4 targets the next. I would hold for now just to see how Mixon looks. And pick up some P. Ryan. That's what you should do.
I've liked Mixon, so I'm sticking with Mixon here.
Yeah,
it's very interesting. It's definitely something to think on because that could help your team, but I don't think it's worth it right now.
So it's one of those things. I wouldn't say it's not worth it. Like it is a good value for your bang for your buck, but I don't think you should do it. I think you want to roll with Mixon. He's been playing he's been the bell cow in Cincinnati. That offense should continue to get better as Joe Burrow gets healthier, and that's only going to help Mixon get more goal line opportunities. So whereas Jonathan Taylor, he might be going down with the ship, and the Eagles are kind of hard to trust in general right now. They're a very, very inconsistent offense.
Yeah, he's getting high teens, low 20 touches. I'm all here for Mixon and all those. So
yeah, I am here for Joe Mixon. I am also here for Jalen Waddle. He has been getting a lot of targets here in Miami, and obviously that was accentuated because Jacoby Brissett was in playing instead of Tua Tagovailoa. He's checking down a little bit more, but Waddle is being fed in the slot, and it's only a matter of time before he breaks a big one. Will Fuller's back to practice Tuesday after chest and elbow injuries caused him to miss Wednesday. He's expected to play, but I think that we've already had it. It's already crowned Jalen Waddle the wide receiver 1 in Miami.
Only because Brissett's there. If Wentz was there, I still think it'd be Fuller, but with Brissett, I think that he likes Gesicki and Waddle.
Did you just say Wentz instead of Tua?
I did. Oh
my God.
I made the switch.
What's the difference at this
Yeah,
point?
it's the same player.
Hey. Don't disrespect Tua like
Yeah, that was rude. I do like Tua. He's looked bad, but he hasn't looked Wentz level of bad. Would you do Mixon for Taylor and Deontay Johnson? Yes,
I would consider that. Yes,
I would do that.
I would consider that.
If you need help at wide receiver, yeah.
Deontay Johnson is a target monster. Like, he's getting double-digit targets each and every week. And Mixon to Taylor is a downgrade, but it's not a tier downgrade. Well, maybe it's a one-tier downgrade, not a massive downgrade. So yeah, I would go in on that one.
Yeah, you go from an RB1 to an RB2 and a wide receiver 1. I'm okay with that.
Speaking of being in, guys, I might be in on Josh Gordon in Kansas City. He looks so good in a KC uniform. It's probably not going to be this week that he plays, but no, I'm kidding. You cannot roster Josh Gordon. You can't trust him in fantasy, but it's a great story, and I'm proud of him for overcoming his struggles.
I thought you were serious because for the people that are listening, Jacob,
Jacob, nice.
Who's Jacob? Jason was tilting. Yeah, you missed it. He was, and I want to share the story with Jason because he's going to love this. Some guy in my home league spent 40% of their fab on him. I could not believe it. 40%. I didn't even bother. Like, I don't bother in this league putting bids on anybody like Chuba Hubbard, guys like that, because I know people just put stupid amounts on, and I wait until the end of the season to pick up guys for a lot less.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's
it's a wide receiver 2 in Kansas City. What are you thinking?
Well, technically 3 because he's behind Kelsey and Hill. Like, I know you mean. Like, he technically is the wide receiver 2, but in terms of like targets, he's the 3rd.
And like, Sammy Watkins was the wide receiver 2 for years in Kansas City, and no one was screaming for Sammy Watkins. So,
or McCole Hardman, or whoever else.
All of them have actually played football in the past 3 years.
Yeah, and like, I feel like we do the song and dance every time he comes back from the. He always comes back and was like, "Oh, gotta have it on my team," and he just like he had a few good games at Patriots, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm. It's a good real life story, but in terms of fantasy football, we are out. Now we've got a couple IR moves. KJ Hamler, he's headed to IR with an ACL tear. So Tim Patrick becomes pretty interesting too in Denver. He's the wide receiver 2 now until Jerry Jeudy comes back. N'Keal Harry is back from injured reserve with a shoulder injury. It's unknown if he'll play this weekend. He still could be working his way back in terms of game shape, but he will be. He's practicing at the very least. And Rashad Bateman and Miles Boykin are both off the IR. Let's go, Rashad Bateman.
Oh, wait. You're not excited for Miles Boykin?
No.
But I thought Willie Snead says he looks like Michael Thomas.
He does say that. And he's wrong. Willie Snead, not a very trustworthy source for player evaluations, but Rashad Bateman, he looks really freaking good.
Yeah, trust me. Matt Mercier, our fellow important nonsense contributor, he really wants him in our dynasty league. Like, he's probing me hard for Rashad Bateman. Like, and I'm holding tight. Like, I want to see this guy. Like, I drafted him, and I want to see him play before I make a move on him. I don't want to, because I could be selling low for whatever I get.
That's the thing, is like, you stuck with him this long. Like, Odell Beckham Jr. as a rookie played only 10 games. He missed the first 6 games, and he was the wide receiver 7 in PPR. So it's possible.
It's also dynasty. So
yeah. So Rashad Bateman, if you can get him, do it, but it's going to be tough because the guy who drafted Rashad Bateman's probably drooling already. We'll move on to tight ends, though. George Kittle didn't practice Wednesday, Thursday. He's questionable for week 4 versus Seattle. Gronk, he is doubtful this weekend with non-broken ribs. They're bruised up. They're banged up. He's probably not going to play in the revenge game against Bill Belichick. Antonio Brown's off of the COVID list, and Scotty Miller's to the IR, though. So looks like it's going to be condensed around Evans, Godwin, and Antonio Brown.
I'm so sad. I really wanted Gronk to play in this game because, it's also a revenge game for him. You're right. And nobody seems to be talking about it. It might have been because of the injury. It's all about Tom Brady because it always is. And Tom would have found him in the end zone at least once in this game.
I thought it was going to be the other way. I thought Gronk was going to.
You thought Gronk would find Tom Brady in the end zone?
I was excited to see them do it just to mess with Bill.
Oh, that would be the most beautiful thing to ever happen in the NFL, just trolling Bill Belichick. But hey, Tom knows Bill, but Bill knows Tom.
I always said that with when Breeze was still in New Orleans, I wanted to see the Taysom Hill touchdown pass to Drew Brees. I was hoping for it, and it never happened. Drew Brees got hurt, so I don't think they ever would have done that, but I was always less anticipating that was going to happen.
Oh, speaking of tight ends, Taysom Hill, that's a good one to talk about in this in this little bit here. Gerald Everett, he is on the reserve/COVID list this week, and so he's probably not going to be playing this weekend for the Seattle Seahawks against George Kittle. So both teams' top tight end might be out.
Yeah, but I'm actually okay rolling with Will Dissly if he's the other option here, because I like the big man. He's tumbling, bubbling, and can show what he can do, and he's scary when he gets that ball in his hands.
The Will Dissly hype trade fell off the tracks last year when he had a full season finally, and we're like, oh, what could have been if he didn't get hurt? Nothing. So I will not join.
Will Dissly is the classic 3 receptions for 30 yards tight end. He is the epitome of that. Just that, yeah, he is nothing special. He is average. Same with Jack Doyle, limited Friday, didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday with a back injury. So will Jack Doyle play? Does it matter? Does anyone care?
It's Mac shit time. You know you want it.
Mo Alley Cox time.
No, stop it. Stop it.
Give the big man more food.
Stop it.
Nom,
you know what? Kylan Granson time.
Oh, yeah. The Trey Burton Jr. time.
Hey, man. Trey Burton led that team in targets for tight ends last year, and he started week 4. He missed the first 3 weeks. Nobody likes to talk about it.
Because he sucks.
Well, you know who else? You know who else is just? I want to say he sucks. I don't want to say Mo Alley Cox sucks, but he's just a guy.
No, and that's what he's saying.
No, he doesn't suck. He's just a guy, though. Like let's not like he plays basketball. Okay, he's Virginia Commonwealth University legend.
Oh, I love that.
Look at Antonio Gates.
I love that we start to close out the show with Colts talk just to end. It was a great show. I love working with you guys, but it's just fun ending, leading out towards the end of the show, making Jordan angry just so he can.
Oh, I'm not angry. I've accepted. So I'm in the 7 or 6 stages of grief. I've been in acceptance for a while.
I'm proud of you, buddy.
For sure, you're going with the hell here. 6 or 7 stage of hell.
Oh well, that's sometimes how it feels. But I'm talking about grief, and I am in the acceptance stage.
Good for you. I'm proud of you. And so, one final question before we head out. I had a friend ask me before the show, who would you rather roster, Tyson Campbell or Trey Sermon?
Okay. Let me just say,
Williams. What? Why did I say?
If you
no, it was Tyson Campbell, the Jaguars corner. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah,
Tyson Campbell got roasted by Jamar Chase anyway, sorry, Tyson Williams or Trey Sermon. Jeez Louise.
It's a tough one.
Well, is it redraft or is it dynasty?
Redraft.
Okay.
Well,
it's Williams for me because he's on the field more, and Wilson's going to be back, and so no, I'm not messing with Shanahan in that group.
So this is rest of season, though.
Yeah.
It said roster. So on my roster, I'd much rather have Williams.
See, I think it depends on your makeup. If you need a flex play that's going to get you 10 points and get you through the buys, then I think you go with Tyson Williams. But if you're shooting for upside, if you're shooting for a league winner, that's never going to be Tyson Campbell because he's splitting time with Latavius Murray and Devonta Freeman.
He still said it.
Did I say Campbell again?
Yeah, he did.
Oh. Goodness. Anyways, Trey Sermon could be a league winner. He might not be. He probably won't be, but he has that upper echelon ceiling, and so that's what's going to do it for me if I can afford that roster spot to be a upside play.
Yeah, it's tough because both are committee backs, and Latavius Murray seems to be the goal line back, so ceiling's capped there. Trey Sermon, we still don't know, with Jeff Wilson coming in, Elijah Mitchell. That's tough. That's actually a tough question. I am biased. I'm a big Trey Sermon truther, so I'd probably go Trey Sermon. I know Jason doesn't agree.
All right.
Williams plays too many snaps. I mean, he was on for most of the game. They just anytime.
Yeah, but I feel like the reason why that is because the other backs they have are off the street. Williams is basically de facto their most experienced back in that system.
He's also the most explosive of them. I mean, that's the thing that I have the issue with. When you look at him play compared to the others, he has the most explosive moves and talent. The other two, they're plotters. And that's my issue. And Sermon, I have no idea what he's seeing on the field, but it's not what he should be seeing as a running back. He can't find the hole. He's running into. No, I can't trust it. It's not worth it to me.
You know what? To find the answer, I think we need to look to God and say a sermon.
Right.
That was I sorry. That was really
rough.
That was really bad, and that's what we're gonna go out on. So I hope you're happy with that, Jordan. I hope that you're happy. That's how the people are going to remember you. And any pluggables to plug on top of that, or do we just want to leave it at that, Jordan?
You know the gist. Follow me on Twitter. Hopefully I'm able to. I have Sunday off, so I'm hoping that I can watch the Colts game. Maybe go on a little bit of an angry Twitter rant about that, because I'm telling you, if they lose this game, it's over. And you know what the best part is? It's all going to be documented at Hard Knocks.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah.
It's going to be okay, buddy.
I'm excited for this week because the Chargers have a chance to get on top of the division, and I am here for it.
Must be nice.
I know. For the first time, things are going right for the Chargers. I'm just waiting for to go off the tracks, and we'll be back in Dumpsville for sure. You should have saw me losing my mind during the Chiefs game. It was bananas. I hit the roof. Or ceiling, I guess, on technically the roof. I actually hit my head on the ceiling. But don't worry about it. Just a patch. It'll be a patch. It'll be completely fine. And that, I'll see everybody on Twitter and FLA. Enjoy.
Well, thank you all for tuning into our bad jokes, our Jason hitting his head off the roof, and just all the general fun that we have had here tonight. So thank you for joining us once again. Make sure you follow at DonaldMcJordan on Twitter. Make sure you follow at ThatFFNerd, and make sure you follow me at Javanaugh87, because I've got some great content coming out to you, especially because Jack Knows Best is back. Best ball season is here, so tune in for that. And until then, we will see you next time.